Hi, everyone, and thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode where I'm talking with composers from my upcoming album, Delta Waves. And today I'm here with Jonathan, and we are going to talk a little about his tenor saxophone piece he wrote for me back in 2015?
Yes,
What, 6 years ago? Something like that?
something like that. It's been a
Yeah.
while.
If you're interested in learning more about this piece or any of the other pieces on the album, please go to andrewhosler.com/delta waves. There you can find more interviews with the awesome composers from this album, track listing, upcoming performances from pieces off the album, and a lot more. So thank you so much for being here.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
So, like I alluded to, I think this piece is about 6 years old now. So, you want to talk a little about how this came to be, this collaboration came to be in the first place?
Uh, I I think we met at one of the Great Plains workshops at OU.
Yeah, it would have been back in. I think it was the first
14.
year it happened because I've been going since it was the Oklahoma workshop.
Yeah, it would have been 2013 or 2014. I can't remember exactly when it started. And
Yeah,
I
and
was
there.
basically there as a place filler to play bass saxophone with a large ensemble.
Yes, you were in the background laying down the bass tracks.
I love bass saxophone. I wish more people had them, and then I could write for it more often.
Well, I have a tenor. It's a B flat instrument. It's just a little higher.
John Coltrane.
Well, yeah. So we would have met back there, and I heard your saxophone duo that I ended up playing up in Michigan.
The one that I had written, I
Couple years
think,
after.
for Aaron Burr and Caleb Westby.
Yeah, for alto, tenor, and piano.
Yeah, because they were still in Arizona, and Aaron is a lot like you in terms of his love for tenor saxophone.
What can I say? The tenor's fun, and it has a lot of different music, as you at home listening will find out if you go to andrewhostler.com/delta waves.
Shameless
Shameless
plug.
self promotion. It's fine. Um, yeah. So then after playing that, we talked about you writing a solo tenor piece, and that's
Well,
how this
no.
piece came to be.
At first, you said I would like to commission a piece from you, and I said, great, alto or soprano.
Yeah, you're not the biggest fan of the tenor, are you?
And you said no, tenor, and I said, okay, I'll do it.
Do you want to talk about your hatred for the tenor saxophone?
My experience with the tenor saxophone is almost exclusively in jazz band,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't enjoy particularly playing jazz. Yes, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
afraid to admit that it's not my thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I only ever got to play tenor in jazz band, and so I drew that absolute association of that airy, bright, awful sound that you hear from
Mm-hmm.
so many jazz tenors. I even played on a metal mouthpiece for a while in tenor, and I'm ashamed to admit that, but I did.
Yep. Yeah,
and
just the people who
and
get a
it
metal
sounded
mouthpiece too soft
terrible.
of a reed, and it just is bright
Yeah,
and shrill.
it sounds terrible, and I hate it. And so I
Mm-hmm.
drew that association that. And now at 31 years old, I'm finally starting to sort of move away from a little bit, but
Yes.
it's just that ruined me for tenor saxophone. It really did.
Well, but after twisting your arm for a little bit, we ended up getting I Am Bound.
Yeah, which actually is one of my favorite solo pieces that I've written. I
Oh,
like it a lot.
that's great to hear. I love the piece as well. I think it really shows off the lyrical side of the tenor saxophone, which so many times just goes ignored.
Which is what I wanted to do, to
Mm-hmm.
start to break that association, to show something that's pretty with a tenor, and to
Yes.
sort of show off the range, especially that high range on tenor that gets such a bad rap in terms
Mm-hmm.
of the way it sounds because of jazz.
Mm-hmm.
I think in a lot of cases, and that's why the opening is all up there in the top of the range and long
Mm-hmm.
and sustained, because it can be beautiful.
Mm-hmm. No, I couldn't agree more, and that was one reason I thought it would be a great addition to the album. I think it will help showcase that, and it's a super pretty piece. It's not too long. What, about 5 minutes?
Yeah, something like that. I think it's 4 or 5.
And where does the title come from?
At this point, I can't actually. I know I had something that I thought was clever back in the day, and so then I sort of
Because there was a poem along with it as well, right?
Oh, was there? I was looking for that the other day and I couldn't find it on this computer. Of course, I've moved and done a million things. Did I ever have I sent that to you?
I don't remember. I was looking for it the other day as well for the poem because I have multiple versions and copies of the score
Oh, believe me, I do
and
too.
of the part. um, well,
You're right. There was. I just can't remember exactly what it was.
finish score. Let me download both copies of the score from.
Oh, I found it.
Oh, perfect, because I did not.
It was a poem written by my roommate at the time. Um, the velvet of the night wrapping itself around my arms, caressing, giving shape to what can't be seen. I am bound, entrapped, enslaved, enamored to the allure and touch of the soulless, invisible night. And now he has a PhD in microbiology.
Well, also a fantastic poet who helped inspire the title of the piece.
Yeah, and that's what I the three words that I got sort of wrapped up in were entrapped, enslaved, and enamored. The outer slower sections sort of being what I sort of saw as enamored, and then enslaved and enraptured in the really driving rhythm of the middle section
Mm-hmm.
where it speeds up.
Yes, yeah, because with the piece, there's a faster section that does show off some of the technical possibilities of the tenor. And it's also I also just love the piece because it shows off the full like regular range of the instrument and shows that even the low notes can be pretty, even the high notes can be pretty.
Right, and so many composers for some reason just live in only the middle range of the saxophone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just tenor, it's all saxophones. They just kind of sit there in the middle, somewhere between your B above the staff and a low D. And there's not really a whole lot of deviation
Mm-hmm.
outside of that. And even then you can narrow it a lot of times around into sort of the first scale that you ever learned, that concert B flat scale.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people who write music for the saxophone, especially who don't play the saxophone,
Yes.
just tend to stay in that safe range because
Yes.
they have heard things that don't sound good outside of that range, or because they don't understand, yeah, they haven't really listened to saxophone, they don't understand what it's capable of outside of that range.
Yes, and it's nice that you're a saxophonist and a composer because you're aware of all of these things and you're able to actually work around that and try to and deviate from the norm of just staying within that
Right.
narrow little range of the instrument. Is there anything else you want to talk about with the piece?
um
Anything else come to mind? Yeah, because I would have premiered the piece back in 2016, January of 2016.
I actually ended up using a very similar aesthetic that I took from this piece for a piece for violin, that a friend of mine is playing on her one of her doctoral performance recitals in Iowa.
Mhm.
Here's I think either this semester or next semester, but the whole first movement of her piece was born out of the aesthetic that I built here in this for you,
Mhm.
actually. So that's a part of that piece that sort of carried its way through other parts of my literature as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah, I mean, where would you say, aside from trying to show off the lyrical side of the tenor, where else would you say, like, what other inspirations did you have behind the actual compositional process of the piece?
Trying to write a true duet. Um,
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of, and it's not just saxophone, but a lot of solo instrumental music accompanied by piano is an instrumentalist playing a lot of really fantastic music and a pianist just kind of,
Boom, chick, chick,
yeah,
boom, chick, chick.
plucking
Yeah,
along behind them.
yeah.
And so I've always made it a goal when I write something for piano and solo or duo or whatever with piano to really make it a true duet.
Hmm.
I had the pleasure of working with Liz Ames for a long time and getting to know her when I lived in Arizona. And
Hmm.
that's what sort of really drove me into this mindset of wanting to write true duets with piano, because it
Hmm.
it killed me to watch a pianist like her play some a lot of the easier saxophone repertoire where she was just going boom,
Yep.
chick, chick, boom, chick, chick, and the
Yes.
saxophone player is playing, because I feel like it's wasted.
Mhm.
All of what she's done is just wasted when she plays music like that. And I hate it. Um,
Well, and now everything's come full circle, and she'll be a part of this recording project and playing this piece now.
which is fantastic. I actually haven't had the opportunity to speak to her in a long time, and I miss her.
Yeah, she's fantastic, and she will sound incredible on this piece and all the other pieces. She's
Oh
great.
yeah, she will sound incredible in anything she ever plays.
Yes, exactly. So, and this piece will be no exception.
Right,
I'm very excited to hear her take on the piano part for this.
right. Oh, I am too, and I feel bad for whoever's turning pages for her. I have been in that position, and she forgets sometimes that when she carries through with her left hand, that there is someone sitting there in the way of her swing.
Well, we're all iPads now. Most of us are using
Oh,
iPads up there. I believe she has an iPad that she's using for at least some stuff. I've
oh,
switched
okay.
fully to iPad as well.
That was, yeah. I guess people
I
can
have.
start doing that. I never.
I never got into it, but then my fiance got one, and I was like, these aren't as good as people say they are, and I used hers for everything, and we realized I should just get my own.
And she said, "Buy your own and give me back mine."
Exactly. Ever since COVID started, all the like recitals I put on and little videos I did, I always used her iPad because it's just so convenient. And we don't actually own a printer.
Really? I've
No,
got at least. Actually, I've got two in this room.
yeah, we have one that's been broken for months in the closet, and I just
Oh no.
don't want to throw it out for some reason. So yeah, now we just use iPads for everything. They're really nice, and the foot pedal makes everything so much easier.
Right. Well, it's funny. I've gotten into using iPads a little bit because I can have. I've got my mixer for Pro Tools, but I can also have my iPad set up over here with channels on it. And so if I've got too many channels for this mixer, I can actually sort of use the iPad as an extension of this mixer. It's straight. It's taken a minute to get used to this setup because it's
Yes.
very complicated, and I love it because it's also very convenient.
Yes, you have a nice fancy setup, and I just have my Mac plugged into a charger and a Blue Yeti mic.
You also don't need such a setup.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Good point.
Which is also why we were talking earlier about interactive electronic music and the reason that I don't write
that. Yes, you need a lot of equipment for that. I have a foot pedal for electronic music over there.
Okay.
Working on some of that music, just programmed a spacebar. That's about all I can do when it comes to programming for electronic music. I can figure out how to
play pause button.
Exactly. That is the extent of my knowledge.
Right.
Well, great. Is there anything else you want to share about the album? About
I'm excited. I really am.
Well, thank you so much. I'm super duper excited to have your work on there. We haven't had a chance to talk in years, so it's been great to sit down and chat with you.
And I'm excited to be a part of it. I've been, I'm sure people that I work with are tired of hearing about it. And I'm sure my fiance is tired of hearing about this, wonderful saxophone player that none of them have ever met that's recording an album that I get to be a part of.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm super excited to have your work on there. I think it'll be a fantastic addition. Really, I think this album is just going to showcase everything and anything for the tenor saxophone in the 21st century, and this piece will be great. I'm really hoping that this will give all these pieces some exposure.
Yeah, and I think that's fantastic. I'm excited to hear it. I really am, because I've heard you play it live, I think once.
Yes.
Via live stream.
Yes.
Not in person, because I think you played it in Michigan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I would have played at my senior year of high school, so we did it at my high school. I did a recital there.
And I watched the live stream of that, but I'm really excited to hear an actual proper, mastered recording of it. Because there are all kinds of problems with live streams. No matter how good your equipment is, any blip in the internet, Any blip in wiring and the way you've got it set up can cause little bits of distortion here and there. And so I'm excited to hear a really nice, clean recording. And I'm excited to hear all of the other pieces on it. They all look interesting. Like I was actually telling you earlier, my favorite title on it is the A Triumph for the Persistently Nice.
I will be sure to tell Griffin how much you enjoy that title. When he sent me that, I was like, that's perfect. I love
that. Definitely tell him that I love that.
No, I think they're all fantastic pieces. They're gonna fit together very nicely into this album.
I don't know. He may have some competition. I just looked out and saw Back When the Tigers Smoked. I kind of like that too.
You composers are very creative. You guys come up with some great titles.
I come up with a lot of titles on the fly. You remember Jacob, right? Big baritone saxophone player at OU.
Yes. Yep.
I wrote him an unaccompanied piece, and I didn't have a title for it until he was about to premiere it at one of the day he premiered it, actually, at one of the concerts at the Art Museum. And Dr. Nickel just looked over at a painting and he said, okay, that painting's called this. This piece is called this. You're welcome.
and it stuck?
Oh, yeah. I just left it there. I said, okay, fair enough.
Perfect. That works. Or you get poems and take the title from the poem.
Right. I'm not good at titles at all. If you look at the larger portion of my output, it's all just sonata for this, sonata in this key, symphony for this. Titles, I don't know. I've never been very good at them.
Well, I think this title is very unique and memorable. So,
yeah.
Got that. Well, so thank you again. Is there anything you want to shamelessly self-promote, or where can people find you? Website, social media?
JonathanAnnis.com.
Perfect.
JonathanAnnis.com. Yeah, if you go to your Kickstarter, contribute to that, obviously. You'll see my name on there, and it's just my first and last name.com. I've got all kinds of fun stuff up there. Everything links to my YouTube channel, where you can hear recordings of a great deal of it. Some on SoundCloud. There are some things that I haven't been able to get recorded because the lack of rehearsal time or what have you with ensembles and everything. But I've got a lot of great recordings on there, and I've given credits to all of the performers. So if you find a performer that you like or what have you, if you like a piece, you can travel further and look them up and all of that. And please do. It's a very small community in music.
Yes.
Yep. And I think we all deserve a little bit of love.
Yes, especially right now. COVID is terrible, but hopefully we can all get a little closer and hear recordings of pieces we're not used to, that we haven't heard before, or meet performers we haven't heard of before.
Correct.
And that is a great way to end on a nice, happy message.
I agree.
So thank you all again for tuning in. If you're interested in learning more about the album, please go to andrewhostler.com/deltawaves. You can find out a bunch of stuff there. And thank you all.